Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Let's Talk Immigration. I want to start today with sort of a heads up for Diversity Visa 2023 selectees. Many of you are coming to me now attempting to hire me, our firm, Morrison Urena, to either represent you in consular processing or for a mandamus lawsuit. And we are no longer accepting Diversity Visa 2023 selectees as clients, okay? Basically, we gave you all like a year and a half to hire us and it's over. Like we don't have capacity anymore to take care of any more clients between now and September 30th. However, I confirmed with two of our colleagues that we have worked closely with for DVs in the past. I've worked with Christina Gazarian and Abadir Barr both in the past. And I confirmed today that as of today, they both have capacity to represent DV 2023 selectees in consular processing. What that means is for those that want to hire an attorney to assist with changing the interview location, or for dealing with a stubborn embassy following an interview, or an embassy saying, I've seen this the last couple of days, I've seen it like 3 times where an embassy has said, oh yeah, you got residence in our country, but you only recently did it. Like as if that's an excuse. And that's when you really need an immigration attorney to step in. So if you're a DV 2023 selectee and you still haven't hired an attorney, but you're looking for one, it's not us, but Christina Gazarian and Abadir Barr do have capacity. And Abadir is actually really good with the mandamus lawsuits too. They're also both bilingual. Christina knows Armenian and Russian, and I think Abadir speaks Somali and a few other languages maybe. So go ahead and leave that up for a minute in case anyone's writing it down. Okay. Second thing I wanted to talk about was a news article I saw that is talking about a scam that's being shared on WhatsApp. Specifically, the U.S. Embassy Uganda has called this scam out and said, hey, you all, be alert. This is not the U.S. State Department. And so let me share my screen and show you what I'm talking about there. Okay, so this is the article. Hoax. This website purports to offer access to the 2025 U.S. Green Card Lottery is fake. The website, it looks like this, and it's www.usadiversitylottery.com, and it's a website. They disclose that they're a private entity, but they also suggest that they have access to DV 2025, which they don't. And so the U.S. Embassy in Uganda has denounced the website, terming it a scam, according to this article. This is the website, and it does look like a scam because you can't register for the DV 2025 lottery until October, and you can only do that through the State Department's website. You cannot do it through some .com website, okay? So be careful, be diligent. Do not fall for a scam. It does not cost money to register for the Diversity Visa Lottery, okay? So I talked about those two things. What else do I have to talk about? AP mandamus lawsuits. You know, we file a lot of those. That's what I spend most of my time working on. And the State Department has done a little uptick in opposing them. I'd say 1 out of 4 are getting opposed over the last week. Means a lot of them work out, right? A lot of them, you file a lawsuit, government decides it's easier to issue the visa. So before, I was telling people, you know, the feedback on the ground. I was like, these are always working. Well, recently they've got this new template for a motion to dismiss that they're using. It's got a lot of absurd arguments that suggest that they don't ever have to issue visas ever. And they're going to be able to sell some judges on this absurd theory. And it makes me angry because it's creating case law precedents that the next Republican administration, that's either DeSantis or Trump or whoever, is going to use to suspend immigration totally. And Democrats are going to be outraged and surprised when it's the Biden administration that is currently setting the framework together of case law that will be used to enable that those restrictive policies in the future. It's very frustrating to me that the Biden administration can be so callous and I don't know, they're being used as a tool, and I hate that. Like, don't they realize what they're doing? So it's frustrating. It means more lawsuits. I'm going to be suing the government more than ever to try to stop this stuff. Okay. So with that, Gomez, you could take the little thing down. You can always push rewind and copy these email addresses down if you miss them. Let's switch to Q&As because I don't have any other updates that I want to share right now. So let's see. If you have a question for me, you can ask it on Facebook and YouTube are the best places because it comes up instantly. If you ask it on a Telegram, it gets copy pasted. I get it eventually. Okay, if you ask on Twitter, I don't even get it during the thing. I get it later. So Omar says, hello, Curtis. Hoping good week for you. It has been a good week for me. I had some family visiting me in sunny San Diego, and the weather was nice, and we had a nice time. Weather. I want to just acknowledge that we are having the hottest days in the history of Earth. And for all of you in places that have hit like unfathomable temperatures, 50 degrees Celsius and stuff, man, you're in my thoughts, okay? I understand that there's like 4 heat domes on the planet Earth right now. So it's amazing that we're trying to do this immigration and people are trying to go on with their lives. And at the same time, the planet is basically cooking us. So everybody do what they can to be cool. I know not everyone has air conditioning, but just stay in the shade and drink a lot of water. As you know, some of you, I used to tell people all the time, drink water, calm down. I really believe in that. You all need to drink water. Water. It's important. Makes everybody happier. So that was a tangent. Tubob says, hello, Mr. Curtis. Hello, Mr. Tubob. Norris Gonzalez says, hello. Hello, Norris Gonzalez. Very happy to have Norris as a client. I'm hoping to get her what she wants eventually. Okay, Omar says, any positive energy for good luck plaintiffs? It being while you didn't give us tips and positive energy. I am not a provider of energy. I guess I am, but I don't plan to be, okay? My job, I'm an immigration attorney. If you need spiritual guidance, seek out a spiritual advisor or clergy to help you with that. Because sometimes I have really bad days and I get very angry and with the government. And if you're wanting good, positive energy, I'm not going to be providing it. Like right now, I am so mad at the Biden administration and Secretary Blinken and the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District Court of Columbia. I'm livid, okay? And it's hard for me to be positive when I'm in that state of mind. James says, good evening. Hi, good evening, James. Lemmy Martin says, hola. Homer says, here the weather is 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, wow. That's awful. I think that there are places in the U.S. where the weather is similarly like that, like a couple hours from where I'm at in the desert in California. I think that's what it might be. I don't know. I'm not going to go check. But please stay hydrated and find shade. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. I've ended these early before, but not at 10 minutes. Somebody needs to ask me a really hard question. Until someone does, I'm going to... What am I going to do? Waiting for questions. I'm going to talk about my Twitters. Maybe we'll name the name of the show talking about Curtis Twitters. So I sent this tweet a couple hours ago. The Biden administration attorneys are now arguing in multiple lawsuits that the State Department has no obligation to give decisions on immigrant visa applications, ever. They're creating case law that will enable the next Trump administration to completely shut down legal immigration. And it could be the DeSantis administration or any Republican administration. And I'm angry, okay? I'm frustrated that the press is not covering this. I'm frustrated that immigration nonprofits are not setting up to fight this. Their resources are spread thin and they're focused on other things because the Biden administration is also at war with asylum seekers and every other immigrant category. So I guess there's limited bandwidth for the press to cover it. I get that, but it's frustrating that I feel like sometimes that we're the only immigration firm that looks out for challenging unlawful policies that lead to these kind of outcomes, and frustrated by that. But it doesn't make me want to stop. It just makes me resolute. Okay, resolute. I think that's the right word. After I sent that tweet, Charles Cuck, my colleague, said USCIS is taking the same position, which means they don't have to adjudicate petitions ever. Like they're a government agency that's funded by the government and they take client fees left and right, but they're saying that the Administrative Procedures Act that says that they have to provide adjudications in a reasonable amount of time, they're saying, no, not us. That wasn't talking about us. I'm like, y'all cash the checks when the Congress sends you money. So yeah, they're talking about you, but it's a crazy time. I see I have a question here. Hussein, one of our most wonderful paralegals with Morrison Urena, says, what do you think about the visa bulletin for F2A retrogression? Okay, so this is something that I've discussed on Telegram quite a bit, and individual clients. As you all know, if you don't know, the August visa bulletin contains some retrogression for the F2A family preference category, and also some employment visa categories. I think one. Anyway, the F2A retrogression was particularly harsh, backing people up 3 years. So in other words, if you filed your, if you're a green card holder who's petitioned for your spouse or child, like 2018 or after, there's not a visa available for them right now. The visa bulletin is the barrier. Even if the USCIS petition isn't approved, no big deal, because if it was approved, there's no visa there. The visa bulletin throttles the visas that are available because there's only like 225,000 allotted per year in the family preference categories. Of note, the Biden administration has never used 225,000 visas for family preference categories in a year because they're too focused on students and visitors, but it's a tangent. What I want to say about this visa bulletin for F2A retrogression, there's lots of different viewpoints. My viewpoint is a little pessimistic, and that is I think this new visa bulletin is a little honest about what the conditions are for many embassies. A lot of people thought, oh, we're current in the visa bulletin, we're about to pop into an interview, and that wasn't the case because there are tens of thousands of visa applicants who are documentarily qualified before them. Well, the visa bulletin kind of just is like a reality check to say, no, you are not going to be scheduled for an interview for August. It's not going to happen. So it kind of helps set expectations reasonably to what they should be. I mean, first of all, they should never be this, because this would not have happened if Blinken had not deprioritized family preference visas, and specifically F2A visas. But there's an element of the visa bulletin retrogression that's kind of more honest, right? Because it tells people, it sets their expectations, so like there's no visa there. Okay, that was probably the case anyway, but there's an exception to that doesn't make sense. There are a lot of people who had interviews in the F2A category, and now their cases are retrogressed. Now, how did that happen? I don't even know. But basically, if you're in that situation, you need to try to move heaven and earth to get the visa issued in the next 11, 12 days before July 31st, because on August 1st, that visa is not available. I know my colleague, Mr. Urena, my law partner, has said, you know what, let's wait until the October visa bulletin to see if when the fiscal year resets, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe there's something to that, but I'm more like, no, things are bad. Let's accept that things are bad and do what you can to deal with it. So if you are a green card holder and you petitioned for your spouse, and you petitioned since 2017, you probably need to focus on naturalizing to become a U.S. citizen. So the petition would go from F2A to IR1 and not be subject to the visa bulletin. I realize a lot of you can't do that because you haven't had either the continuous presence or physical presence requirements met yet. But Morrison Urena does handle that. So you can reach out to actually my colleague Raphael if you wanted to pursue that further. Caveat to that, gosh, immigration law is so confusing, you guys. I'm so sorry. If you are an F2A who has petitioned for your spouse and your child is the derivative, unfortunately, if you naturalize, that child falls off because IR1 category, spouse of U.S. citizen, cannot have derivatives. So another thing that F2As can do to be proactive, because the system is at war with you, is file an independent standalone I-130 for each of your children. And that way, if you naturalize as a U.S. citizen, your kids still have a path and you don't have to start from zero. Okay? So if the goal is to get everybody in the U.S. as soon as possible, file I-130 petitions for the kids and do everything you can to stay in the U.S. and get yourself naturalized. Because the F2A, it's not looking good. I don't know if Hussein thought I was going to be that negative, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's better to tell people up front what's really going on. Omar says, we thought they fight only DV cases. They play harder than we think about it, even with other category visas in court. Omar, you may have thought that because you are a DV case, but no, they fight other cases too. They fight other categories. Specifically, they really fight family-based visa applicants, but they also fight SIVs, which is crazy. Allies for the U.S. and Afghanistan and Iraq. Like, why would you fight those? I don't know. It's like the State Department works for Trump or something. Okay, Isaac says, good evening from my side. Please, what is happening about DV 2021? Well, Isaac, have you left a prior message? No, you're just asking about DV 2021. The DV journeys for the majority of DV 2021 selectees ended on September 30th, 2021. The journeys that survive are good luck plaintiffs, gold plaintiffs, are DVs who were waiting for interviews that were covered by the order in Ray versus Biden from Judge Chunkin, specifically like 25 embassies. That's not the right number. More than 20 embassies, mostly Europe, but also Brazil and China. If you were waiting for, I think South Africa, if you're waiting for an interview from one of those embassies on September 30th, 2021, let me just say in September 2021, then your path may continue, just like the good luck plaintiffs and gold plaintiffs' paths may continue, but it depends upon the outcome of the appeal. Because the Biden administration has appealed our victories in both good luck and the Gomez DB 2020 cases. Okay, Omar said, is this true, Mr. Morrison? One of the Gomez lawyers says our case was scheduled for a decision, but they put it aside and another case after, which came after our case got a decision. I'm sure that cases after our case got decisions, because decisions are not issued in order of oral arguments. Maybe they know more than I do. I have no information to support what you wrote there, but maybe they know something I don't know. What could the reason be behind F4's lack of progress? Do you anticipate any potential impact on the aging out children? Sometimes knowing the reason doesn't really change anything. We don't know the reason, but when you prioritize one thing, it means you deprioritize another. And so you have Secretary Blinken out there prioritizing visitor visas and student visas. Some embassies issuing thousands of those in a month. That does not happen without cost. Okay, those resources and consular officers that are focused on that, those were the consular officers that are supposed to be focused on all categories. So I think that the family preference categories, like F4, F3, F1, F2A, those are the biggest victims of the Biden administration's pandering to the U.S. Travel Association. And I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know if there's, for all I know, somebody's getting paid on the side or something, because they say it's for the economy. And I'll tell you what, you bring in some immigrants into the U.S., you're going to help the economy. But the Biden administration thinks if you bring in tourists, it's going to help the economy. So I don't know how that helps us long term for people to pop into Disneyland and go home. I guess it helps with T-shirt sales, but let's not pretend like those T-shirts are made in the U.S. I don't get it. I think that if you want the U.S. economy to thrive, gosh, I wish Joe Biden was here. If you want the U.S. economy to thrive, you need to bring in immigrant families because they create jobs. Okay. I can't be ranting so much. You're all going to take this show away from me. Patrick says, hi, Curtis, do you think State Department, Blinken are not aware of all the lawsuits filed against them on visa prioritization? I'm F2A, rest of the world, priority date May 2021. Visa Bulletin is demoralizing. Yeah, you're not current if your priority date is May 2021 by a few years now. I know that the State Department is aware of all the lawsuits filed against them because I serve, you said on visa prioritization, I personally am the signer to every lawsuit challenging the Secretary Blinken's prioritization of non-immigrant visas over immigrant visas. Okay, that would include the Sonny Santos Wilson proposed amended complaints, the Naveed case, and then the case that I just filed with my other law firm that was like Naveed. All of those 5 cases are the only 5 cases that I'm aware of that challenge that prioritization. And I've served them all. So I know that the State Department's aware because they got a copy. Now, is Blinken aware? Probably not, because he doesn't care about immigrants at all. You can go back to maybe his last 50 public appearances where he's talked. And he mostly talks about, let's help Ukraine. You will not find him talk about immigrants. He seems either not aware that the Bureau of Consular Affairs is part of the State Department, or he doesn't care about the Bureau of Consular Affairs. Now, the cables that go out that set policy are signed by him, so he does know. but publicly, he does not acknowledge that he even has a role to play in immigrants. The irony of that is the big driver, one of the big drivers to the immigrants we see at the border, the Mexican border, everybody blames that on Mayorkas or Biden, but it's Secretary Blinken who's denying people legal opportunities to immigrate to the U.S. So I think he's one of the biggest drivers of migrants coming to the southern border, and he gets away with it. Like nobody ever calls him out on it. It just drives me nuts. But I know I personally talk to people that are our clients every week that show up at the Mexican border that had legal pathways, but they just don't want to wait years to find out whether Blinken's ever going to start implementing the Immigration Nationality Act. I'm rambling. I apologize. Go to the next question. I'm currently in Mexico. What did I tell you, right? Currently in Mexico waiting for my appointment via the CBP1 app. If I get the status of asylum seeker, would it be possible to change my status by DV 2021? Good luck. Position decision. Aziz, I'm so glad that you brought this question exactly when you did, because I'm just I'm saying, look, this is a driver of migrants coming to the southern border. And here you are saying, yes, I had a legal immigration path, but the Biden administration is fighting us in court. So you're taking matters into your own hands. The answer to your question, and I need to be very clear about this. If you enter the U.S. as an asylum seeker, it's very unlikely that the reserved visa, either from reserved visas from Gomez or Good Luck, is going to be available to you. The reason is those cases were about visas, and that is the way the Department of Justice looks at it. Now, it's not final, though, because the Department of Homeland Security would need to have a say in that, and the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department have not decided yet. They're still undecided. That's the last Josh Press, one of the attorneys for oil with the Department of Justice, the last time I nudged him about this, he said they just haven't made up their mind yet whether or not they will. And I don't think they plan to make up their mind until after they lose the appeal, and then for Good Luck, they have to lose summary judgment. We have to win summary judgment. Once those things happen, then they need to make up their mind. So we don't know if visas will be available. Well, you don't need a visa. If green cards that from the reserved visas would be available for adjustment of status within the U.S. Lots of arguments of why they should be, but I'm not sure who's going to make those arguments and how. I think that if we win the appeal, if we beat the appeal and we win summary judgment, I think things may happen quickly and there's not going to be time. And I feel that like if you are seeking asylum, you're seeking a different path, and the Good Luck path will probably not be available to you. For the number one reason is the one I just said, but there's two other reasons. You have to have lawful status to adjust status, and under the law, seeking asylum is not always considered lawful status. Second thing is unlawful presence. If you accrue unlawful presence, you can't be issued a green card. And if you come to the U.S. seeking asylum, that could be a barrier to you as well. Or if you come into the U.S. on a visitor visa and don't leave, you accrue unlawful presence. So lots of barriers to you changing your status to a diversity visa green card when you enter the U.S. the way that you're talking about. Alona says, if the court makes a positive decision, looks like she's talking about Gomez, what are the chances that a candidate of DV 2020, Park at Kennedy, will get an interview with DJJ? Well, first of all, Alona, I want to make sure you understand that DV 2020 relief from Judge Mehta was initially prioritizing plaintiffs in Mohammed, Fangjong, and Aker, but the final order that reserved visas on September 30th, 2020 was just for Gomez class members, which is all DV 2020 selectees who were not issued a visa before April 2020. So What that means is the fact that you're part of Kennedy, thank you for telling me, does not have an impact to your chances, except that Morrison Urena paralegals will support you and guide you, and that's something that a lot of people have benefited from in the past. The embassy that you're talking about, DJG, I don't know which one DJG is. Djibouti. I didn't know they were DJG. Really? And I thought they were DJI. They're DJI. I don't know what DGJ is. What's DGJ? I don't know which embassy that is. So I cannot opine. This is in Espanol, and can I copy paste? I cannot. It's asking about 2020. We don't have an update on that. Aziz says, is it better to go forward through immigration courts with asylum status to become a U.S. citizen? Aziz, I think you asked this question before I answered. You don't have an option here, okay? If you go this path where you enter the U.S., it's going to likely, these are not two things that you can do concurrently. If you want to pursue the DV, you probably should not try to enter the U.S. and seek asylum. But if you want to enter the U.S., if you're fleeing persecution, by all means, it's legal to seek asylum. So I hope you get an appointment and you're able to make your case. And it will take you a long time to be a U.S. citizen. You know, first you have to get a green card, and then later you can naturalize citizen. It's a long path, much longer than the DV path. Omar says, does high or low case number will play a role if they redistribute visas and win the appeal? Omar, you aren't saying that you're good luck or anything, and I'm having to like remember stuff, and I'm not good at remembering stuff. I can't remember if you're DV 2020 or 2021. But here's the deal. We don't know. High case number, low case number has never been determinative. What that means is, I mean, like, several years, I think 2022, the case number 2022 AS1 wasn't issued. I mean, like, just because the case number is low doesn't mean you're automatically going to get an interview. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to play a role. We don't know. Have to wait and see. It's probably an important factor, but we don't know how it's going to play a role. Arla says, if the court makes a positive decision, what are the chances that a candidate of DV 2020, part of Kennedy, will get an interview? I've already got confused about DJG. I don't know what DJG is. Oh, documentarily qualified. You are a DV 2020 selectee because subsequent applicants wouldn't even talk about that. State Department no longer does that. Like, the KCC does not accept documents. So the fact that you were documentarily qualified, I doubt will give you an edge or an advantage. Definitely doesn't hurt. So, I mean, there's no way to calculate your odds. I will say that there are tens of thousands of Diversity V 2020 applicants who want a finite number of 9,095 visas. So your odds could be, 25 to 50% just based on that. So it's not a sure thing for sure. Omar's good luck. DV 2021. You don't have to be sorry, Omar. I told y'all, I warned you early, I'm grumpy today. Okay. So any more questions? Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to wrap up early today, and we'll see you. One more question. Omar snuck in. I mean, for example, there are 50 cases in the same country, and there are plaintiffs too. Will higher or low case number play a role to get 10 to NL? Interesting question, Omar. I don't know the answer to that, and no one does. And anyone that pretends to know doesn't know what they're talking about, because never in the history of the State Department has a judge reserved visas that were issued. Okay, it's only happened one time before. Judge Mehta did it in the Gomez order, and that was the Amar Krami case, and those visas still haven't been issued from 2017. So this is new territory, and we don't know exactly how it's going to work. Okay, we're optimistic that it will work, but we don't know how it's going to work. It's important to me that you all understand the reason I'm not answering a lot of these questions is because the answer cannot be known. If you find somebody that's willing to answer a question that cannot be known, kind of take that with a grain of salt, is what they say in English. It means don't rely on that too much. Okay, if an answer cannot be known, there's no reason to keep asking the question. Victorine Esarica says, good evening, sir, DV 2021. Good evening, Victorine. I hope you are a good luck plaintiff or eligible, or a go plaintiff or eligible under Ray for a visa, because as I've mentioned before, the majority of visa journeys for DV 2021 selectees is over. It only survives if you're a good luck plaintiff, go plaintiff, or waiting on an embassy that was noted in the Ray versus Biden order. Where did this question come from? Okay, last question. We are a family of 4 people. Now we have a new member in our family. Can it be included in getting a visa? Arla, are you a plaintiff in a lawsuit? Yes, you are. You're making me scroll up. You're a Kennedy plaintiff. And you've had another baby, or somebody's got remarried. The answer is probably not, but we can't be sure. The reason I say probably not is because Judge Mehta's order for Gomez is for class members, and the new baby is not a class member, and or the new spouse. And then for the good luck order is for plaintiffs, and the new baby or the new spouse was not a plaintiff. Now, there was some ambiguous language in the order that suggested the order was about selectees. It used the word selectees instead of visa applicants, but I think that might be construed as a typo. And I don't know. I'm not optimistic for that situation. Here's how you cure that, though. I don't know. Family of 4. Now we have a new member. I'm not sure if it's a new spouse or a new child. I'm going to pretend like it's a new child. Say you have a new baby. What you can do is family of 4. So I don't know. So the parents and the 1 kid or 2 kids enter the U.S. without the baby that doesn't get a green card, and they get green cards, and then everybody can go back and forth, or one of the parents can stay in the U.S. and file what's called a reentry permit so that they could be out for a prolonged period of time. And this family is going to be separated for a period of time. But eventually, maybe five years, because the visa bulletin's not current for F2A, at least 2 years, even if it does get current. But between 2 and 5, 6 years, the family can be together in the U.S., but it's going to require that extra step. So I'm glad you asked this question, because if you're out there and you're a DV 2020 selectee or a good luck plaintiff and you are doing family planning, just understand that if you decide to grow your family right now, it's going to make things very difficult for you to immigrate as a family. Okay, very difficult, very expensive, and you're going to be separated for a while. And I've gone through that. It's not easy. Okay. If there's any questions I haven't answered, they're too personal or whatever, go to morrisonurena.com, contact us, and there's a way to contact me or any of our paralegals in different languages, and we'll be happy to set you up and help you out. Have a good week. See you next week for episode